Global street food, always a fun game. Lift the cloche on number 1.
What are you looking for?
A whisk so I can whip your ass.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Okay.
got it.
What we got?
Well, my initial reaction is, that's a samosa, I'm writing down India, we can all go home.
Yeah.
But I know it's never that simple.
Or maybe it is. Maybe we're being catfished.
It's the double bluff.
What they are triangular pastry-shaped delights that have been fried. The pastry is flour and with some water and sometimes some oil based. And the filling is what?
Minced beef. Oh, no, lamb.
Yeah, lamb.
You were right with beef.
Beef.
Okay.
Beef.
There are other flavours that are added to that. They're adding a deepness.
Oh, there's some.
But it's interesting, as you can imagine, with these kind of street foods, they could be made with lamb, they could be made with beef, goat or camel.
So there's some flecks of greenery in there. Is that spinach or is that herbage? Coriander?
Regional spices and a bit of chili pepper. Yes, there is some fresh coriander in these.
Okay.
Along with the likes of cumin, and again, sometimes, those are mind play dot joining exercises, things like cumin and lamb, a wonderful combination. That might have been where your head went, but there is some cumin in here as well.
There is a lovely crisp to that pastry, which is actually different to the kind of samosas that I eat here, which might not be the most traditional of samosas. The frying in oil as opposed to the baking creates like that crispy, bubbly effect.
The bubbles.
And the oil is in the pastry as well. Sometimes these kind of pastries might be made with ghee, but actually this dish would be made with oil. Let me give you some other spices that might make their way into the mix based on the region. Sometimes there is some berber, or there is some mitmita, there's some pili, and sometimes it's served with a bizbiz sauce.
Oh no, I've heard all of those things bar one.
Berber, mitmita, pili, bizbiz. And by the way, the bizbiz sauce is more of a yogurt-based sauce, which would have fresh herbs and chili in it.
You know what's really annoying? A few years ago, I went to a restaurant called Berber. It was in London, but it was called Berber.
These are global street snacks, and all we want the boys to do is pinpoint the country from where they think it's from. 3 points if they get the country spot on, and if neither of them get it right, then the person who is closest by centroids will get a point. 2 more clues I can give you. Commonly, these might be served during Ramadan and other occasions. And the last clue is the name of the dish. These are sambusas.
When I saw you, girl.
From across the room.
We're so old and not funny.
No, I've had many nights ended by some sambusa.
Lock in an answer, and then we'll see who's closest. A dish so often and deliciously paired with a cup of chai. What have you scribbled down?
Saudi Arabia.
Oman.
Man.
So the samosa part quite obviously led me to India.
Yep.
But then the mention of certain spices, things like Berber and things like that, led me to North Africa. And then I thought it might be a mixture of the both of them, so go somewhere in the middle.
I follow pretty much the same logic and always guess North African. So I moved to the Middle East and picked the biggest country that I could think of in the Middle East. Which, if we're going by centroids, might actually play against me because it's massive.
I can reveal that neither of you are spot on, but one of you is, wait for it,
Next door.
8 miles closer than the other.
Oh, 8
no.
miles? What?
Jamie, you are 1,304 miles away.
Okay, we've got to listen now.
And Mike, you are 1,296 miles away.
Yes!
The answer is Somalia. We're talking East Africa.
Wow.
So definitely African spices, absolutely the Indian influence, and similar dishes you will also find in places like Ethiopia and Kenya as well.
African.
African. Yeah.
That's what I've heard. Definitely not Middle Eastern.
But it could have been the mixture of...
It doesn't matter. I took 1 point.
By literally the distance of here to the West End, Mike took a point.
Ebbers, why have you drawn a Tetris Willy?
This is my scoring chart. But what it is there's distance, the centroids, the score, so I can keep track. It's a very complex game. Move on to round 2.
Right.
A lot of ingredients and a lot of history to play with here. Lift the cloche.
Okay, these look delicious.
Lovely. Bird's eye chilies on them.
It looks like there's couscous
I was going to say it's like a
inside.
grain inside, like couscous.
This almost falafel-y, but with couscous.
Excellent shout on the like falafel. That it's not falafel, but is sometimes compared to it.
Oh, it's got a real kick to it.
It's got similar texture internally to falafel as well. But the grains are they're a bit more al dente, they're a bit more crunchy, aren't they?
They're a bit different.
A combination of herbs and spices, although the likes of turmeric can give it a bit of a yellow colour. Chili for sure. And the pulse, not couscous, but yellow peas. Split peas that are soaked and then basically pulsed up with spring onion, coriander, things like turmeric, salt, and definitely chili. The name of these are gâteau piment, which literally translates to chili cakes.
They're absolutely delicious.
They're lovely. I can imagine they have a great dipping sauce that would go with them as well.
Yeah.
Would you like to know what is commonly served with them, or sometimes served with them?
Beer?
A coconut raita. Sometimes these are made at home, but more commonly out on the streets, very much a street food. Might be eaten around breakfast time in like a French baguette or like a bread roll, but French baguettes typically.
Wow.
Or just on their own.
But these in a baguette?
Yeah, like a falafel sandwich.
Baguette with a raita, that'd be delicious, wouldn't it?
What?
Why aren't we?
You mentioned falafel. You think, you can buy a falafel sandwich from many of our high street supermarkets in your meal deal.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you should, but you could. It's similar.
I mean, falafel is fantastic, but this is almost more fragrant because of the spice and because of the whole spices in them, actually.
The chili and the
Gives you
coriander.
real, like,
And the
fresh
pop
fragrance.
as well when you bite through them.
The spring
They're
onion and a
really, really
wonderful
tasty.
texture that comes from those split peas as the pulse.
So they're actually just deep fried?
Yeah.
So they're
Like
not
falafel
coated
would
or
be.
battered or anything like that? Wow,
And the outside crisps up in a different texture to what is more of a fluffy inside.
That is really cool. Okay, man, that's hard. Any more clues?
The last clue I'll give you is that this country has a really interesting history. It's thought to be completely uninhabited until 1638. And only in the last 400 years has it been ruled by the Dutch, the French, the British, and it now has populations with backgrounds from Africa, India, and China.
What?
So quite a melting pot of influences, and the name, remember, is Gâteau Piment. Oh, and they obviously have coconuts.
Yeah.
How about you guys at home? Do you recognise them? Have you tried them? Do you know where they're from? Comment down below. Boys, I need you to lock in an answer. You've both decided on something or other? Let's have a look. 3, 2, 1.
Madagascar.
Mauritius.
One is just off the coast of the other.
Ooh.
They both begin with them.
You're going to ask for logic.
Yeah.
And I don't
want to give
have much. I'm just trying to think of somewhere that, in my mind, and this could be completely wrong, is small enough that it could be uninhabited until 400 years ago, and is also small enough to be dominated by the Dutch, the French, the British over that time, and potentially close enough to have those influences from the food and coconuts and
Not a bad guess.
Pretty much the same.
I mean, they're very similar
It's a
part of the world.
Well, you just don't know where if this country was under multiple colonies or colonisation, then each one of them are going to travel from somewhere else and bring those influences together. So placing it on a map is really difficult.
Really, really difficult, but they are loved because they're made from basically store-covered ingredients and then sold on the streets, and everyone can have them. It's a level playing field. They're loved by everyone in Mauritius.
Oh! Wow!
He's got a bullseye!
No way!
So French speaking, hence the name, but absolutely all of those other influences and the tropical climate that loves coconuts.
Whoa.
Well done,
Right.
Jamie.
I did not expect that. I did not expect that to be correct.
No!
Wow.
I've got
The last-
so much catching up to do.
The last thing that we had from Mauritius was that incredible fishy dish, which I then had friends that went to Mauritius the month after. Was like, you've got to have
Like a
this.
shredded coconut.
Did you
dish.
just say, oh yeah, it's this really incredible Mauritian fishy dish?
Yeah.
Oh, what, on an island?
It was like sambal. It was like sambal, wasn't it? But with
Almost that version of it was the roller coaster food of
that was it.
Mauritius.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. Well done, Jamie. I mean, Mike,
Wow.
damn good guess, because you're just off the coast of Mauritius, or rather, the other one is off the coast of the other, 700 miles away. But
doing
Jamie,
well.
you take 3 points, which puts you in the lead, 3 points to 1.
No.
Round number 3.
Yes.
I've got to get some direct hits, otherwise best I can do is draw.
2 more closest wins. You can draw it, or something spot on would be nice. Lift the cloche.
Okay.
Now, not always served in a bowl like this. It can be in takeaway containers, very much street food vibes. But what's the dish?
It's meat, is it?
It's very meaty, yeah.
Cheers.
It's really pasty.
It's very corned beefy.
It's corned beef.
I've not actually tried this.
That is corned beef
Spicy tomato corned beef with rice.
and peppers.
Exactly that. So this is a dish that is made using a lot of staple ingredients like corned beef with a base of green pepper, onion, things like thyme as herbs, and then corned beef, tomato paste and chilli. And a local chilli pepper called the goat pepper.
I like that. That really hits the spots.
It can be served on top of either rice or grits, but traditionally a white base. And it's the very tomato paste and red chilli corned beef red top that gives this dish its name, fire engine. Local cooks are known to throw an awful lot of extra goat pepper at it,
Yep.
so that you might need the emergency services to be called and put out your mouth. And it's that combination of red and white, like the colours of a fire engine. This is why this dish gets its name, the fire engine.
And is fire engine a translation?
No,
No?
fire engine is not a translation. Neither is the goat pepper. It's often served as a breakfast food and is sometimes considered a hangover cure. And whilst a sort of a bolognese ragu would have a sofrito base, this has got the holy trinity of green pepper, onion and celery, which should also point you in a direction. Gents, what you got? 3, 2, 1.
Mexico.
New Zealand.
Unlike Madagascar and Mauritius, these two countries are not close together.
We are far away.
We're not going to be 8 miles away from each other, are we?
Why New Zealand?
First of all, they eat it for breakfast, and when it's dinner time here, it's breakfast time in New Zealand.
That's the stupid logic that I love.
I had New Zealand or Australia in my head because it didn't fit an American narrative, because fire truck instead of fire engine, I couldn't see any reason they'd call it fire engine, even though a lot of the other clues led it towards the US. They've got to eat grits elsewhere in the world. There is no reason why it would only be in the US. And I thought local peppers, familiar flavours, English speaking, it kind of led me down to Australia and New Zealand.
It's a really lovely logic.
I started in the US, especially the south, so it reminded me very much the tomato base and things like that of the Gulaguchi food that we'd eaten in Charleston and places like that, which originally came over from West Africa. Started to think perhaps it's those. Then you started talking about green chilies, and then you started talking about the Holy Trinity. I couldn't remember where that was from. And West Africa, if it was US, is too far away to warrant a guess and too risky. So I just went down into Central America and guessed Mexico.
A great game strategy logic rather than a pick the dish logic, but great.
Also, unless this is an African episode that we've not been told.
I know.
We've done 2.
I know.
Yeah.
I can reveal that this fire engine dish made with corned beef is from the Bahamas. English speaking in the Caribbean.
That makes a lot of sense.
The Holy Trinity, things like the peppers, the chilies,
Puerto
the
Rico.
peppers.
It also...
It's the Caribbean. Yeah. That did not even cross my mind.
But I have the answer on the card, and I know about this dish because we've looked at it and we've researched it. Blindsighted, I was really impressed with your guess actually, Jay, because I think like Australia and New Zealand feels very, very logical for the clues that existed.
But Mexico was the right direction to go.
However, Jamie, you were 8,225 miles away. Mike, you take a point with 1,584 miles away. So we go into the last round with Jamie on 3 points and Mike on 2.
Come on.
I need a bullseye.
Last one. Mike playing for the draw.
No, the win.
Oh yeah, you can still win it.
Well, already I'm excited to eat them.
Definitely. Not.
How disappointing. The char smells like the char you get on pizza dough. It's a savoury for a start.
Savoury.
The dusting isn't icing sugar.
No, that's flour. I think your description of a pizza base, it's like the world's thinnest pizza base.
Yeah, but the where it's charred, you get that really lovely crisp, but also sort of deep charred flavour.
Any ideas what it's made from?
Flour. Oh, there is butter.
There is butter or cream in it, bit of both. Potato.
What?
Oh!
It's mashed potato.
Well done for stepping in there, because we'd have been here a long time.
Mashed potato or riced potato, so put through a ricer so it is super fluffy, that then has cream added to it. and then enough wheat flour to turn it into a very soft, malleable dough. Once it's kind of chilled, you can then roll it out, and then it's cooked in a really dry, hot griddle pan, which is why you get these lovely sort of brown spots of char. It's a savoury flatbread, served with and alongside all sorts of things, but many of the blogs we read served it with that.
It's like a cinnamon.
Oh, it's really
butter?
sweet.
Cinnamon butter, but not a sweetened cinnamon butter. So it's just cinnamon and butter.
What? How does that taste?
Freaking awesome.
Still savoury, but with cinnamon.
No!
And our minds, a bit like whenever you taste vanilla, you think this must be sweet.
No!
That is shocking.
Have you tried one? You should try one with the butter.
Yeah.
Because your mouth goes, oh,
Dessert.
here it goes!
And the sugar never lands. And we use cinnamon in a lot of savoury cooking, in spice blends and tagines and things that use that sweet cinnamon. But even those generally have a little bit of honey or some dried fruit in them to give a bit of sweetness. Other common toppings, cheese, ham and other savoury things like that, or they could just be served alongside a coffee. Now, let's go back.
Any clues.
No, me neither. What are we doing?
Let's go back to history. These are essentially now a mashed potato and flour flatbread, but this country only received the potato about 250 years ago. So before that, it was just a wheat flatbread.
Oh God! What? That is not a fact.
Only received the potato.
That is information for the sake of it being said out loud.
The word received is my word.
The phrasing does not help.
No, but still.
And historically, it would have been women that would have moved from house to house to house, and they would have made these in mass, literally stockpile them, and they would dry out, and they'd go really, even once they were cooked, they would dry out and go really crispy. And then in the winter months, they would rehydrate them to use them. So they would cover them in a damp cloth or splash them in a bit of water to bring them back to life. So whilst these are fresh ones and slightly warmed, they would be stockpiled as well. To throw another topping at you, if it's not ham and cheese or cinnamon butter, in the early days, it might have been dried fish, like dried cod.
Okay, yeah, cool.
Body language says neither of you are entirely convinced by what you've scribbled, but let's see what it is.
I
3,
need a bullseye.
2, 1.
Sweden.
Sweden.
Oh. Sweden, great. So I can't even get a draw.
Boys, it is not Sweden. But what was your logic?
Yeah, what was your logic?
My logic was, originally, I thought of Iceland because of the terrain and the climate makes growing any food and having livestock almost impossible. So therefore, having things like potatoes or growing potatoes in there or Scandinavia would be very, very difficult. And I was thinking, yeah, but they must have still got some like cow stuff over as well, like and had dairy before potatoes. And then I thought that might be too remote. So I just went, yeah, and landed in either one of Norway, Sweden or Finland. And I went in the middle.
Yeah, I don't have much logic at all. I think the dried fish,
That was...
the saving food for the winter months, that kind of thing. How bad is winter so that you can't grow any food? Like all of those kind of clues, but I honestly, no idea.
Pretty damn close. You're both equally close. Just 349 miles away. It's Norway. This is Lefse. So when you were talking about Iceland and coming down, if you didn't go quite as far, you'd have had it before the potato, and they were just wheat-based. It was the Vikings that used to make them, and when they used to dry out and stockpile them, they were literally called, the translation was a bread plate. And it is thought that the Vikings brought the bread plate to the UK, where it made its way across the UK down to Cornwall, where the Romans were. The Romans took it back to Italy, and it's the start of the pizza.
What? No!
So says somebody's history.
Wow.
I like to believe that history.
Okay, interesting.
This
The
is...
Cornish invented the pizza.
That is really fascinating and also just really delicious.
Yeah.
But now made with mashed potato and all the cream actually makes it quite rich, very filling. It's that cross between potato fal, like the Irish, or gnocchi in that sense of kind of like a potato dumpling. It's potato and flour combined.
Just flattened.
And then instead of being poached or boiled, it's griddled.
So what's that? 4-2.
You're both 349 miles away, which means you do both get a point for being equally close.
Don't care.
And Jamie wins 4 points to 3. Comment down below, how many points would you have got in that particular game? And where else should we go to feed our boys global food?
thank you for this.
Well
I'm
done.
amazed
Great
that we
job.
can still create these episodes with food that we've never heard of before that still confuses the hell out of us.
Yeah.